This is not a paid endorsement, but I want to send a special thank you to the team at superclean.com for supporting my small channel and sending me product to use on my channel and to give away to my viewers. You guys are awesome. Your product is amazing. I've made the switch. I encourage you guys to get out there, give at least one bottle a try, and I think you'll be a fan too. The more you watch my channel, the more you'll see me use that product on just about every vehicle I work on, because it does what it says it's going to do, and it does it really well. What's up, neighbors? Welcome back to my teeny tiny little channel. I guess it's been a minute since I put a video out. We've had hellaciously cold weather here. It's been ridiculous and I can't work in that stuff. But beautiful day, great day to be out here messing with the 1991 Mercedes 300 TE wagon. So I got new tires put on the rear. I love that the car is lowered. What I don't like is that the wheel does this. Not a fan. So what I'm going to do today, hopefully, is correct that and get the wheel from this to this. And I'm going to show you, hopefully, a simple and very cost-effective way to do it, because these cars do not have adjustable links on them, but I've found a way around that. So here's the piece out of the car. Very simple piece. Mine is a 91 300 TE. Yours may be slightly different, but pretty close. 15 millimeter head and nut, 17 millimeter head and nut. This is the inside, this is the outside towards the wheel. Now, to be able to adjust the wheel, this piece right here needs to be adjustable. I need to be able to bring this out a little bit longer than what it is. And because it's fixed, well, obviously can't do that. So the solution is these handy dandy parts from Speedway Motors. And essentially what I am going to do is put adjustable links on the end of this, and that way I can adjust out or in whatever I need to do to get that wheel to sit up straight and not at an angle. So these parts are fairly cheap. So all of the parts to do this for both sides, it was $118.91 shipped to my door. So you'll need this 9-inch tube, and it threads on both ends. You'll need the ends. You'll need a jam nut on both ends, but you have to make sure that you get right-hand thread and left-hand thread, because as you adjust this tube, it's going to turn and it's going to push everything out or in depending on the threads. So here is my driver's side, completely assembled. I chose to remove this inner bushing pin thing from the original one and make it fit inside the new bushing that comes with your ends. You can save yourself a lot of time and just upgrade this bolt to a 1/2-inch bolt. I could have done that. I chose to see if I could get this to slip in there. It took a lot of time, but the short answer is yes, it does work. Was it worth the time? To me, I just kind of like to see if I'm able to do it or not. So it was worth it. I didn't have to leave and go track down 2 new bolts. But if you want to track down 2 1/2-inch bolts that are 3 inches long, do that ahead of time, and then you won't have to worry about doing stupid stuff like I did. Make sure that this end right here, see this part of the tube that's flat where you can get a wrench on it, this end needs to be facing out towards the tire. That's how you're going to be able to get a wrench on here and adjust this once it's in the car. And you'll see there's not much room to get back here to do anything, so make sure you don't flip this. You want this end with the flat edges towards the outside of the car. So I will put a screen up with all of the part numbers for all of the pieces that I used, and you can just screenshot it and order all of these from Speedway Motors. So this rear bolt right here, originally the head of the bolt was on this side and the nut was on this side. I went ahead and flipped it. You don't really have to. It's just something that I kind of learned a long time ago. When I was working on the Pantera, the mounts for the transaxle, and it makes sense. The car is traveling this way. So if the nut were to come loose and the car's traveling this way, the bolt would work itself out and fall out. But if it's put in this way, I guess the odds are less that it would work itself out as the car's moving forward and then fall down. So, you know, you can do it either way, but just something I picked up years ago, and I've kind of always put like the head of the bolt facing the way that the vehicle is traveling, if possible. And this is what it looks like when it's installed. Pretty easy. It's a little tricky getting back there, get your hands in there because there's not much room to work, but I went ahead and put a washer on this side just because maybe it was the way this bracket was, but it just kind of sucked up that gap. This bolt up here, this is a 17 millimeter head and a 17 millimeter nut. That is a 19 millimeter head, 19 millimeter nut. So 17 millimeter, 19 millimeter. Again, make sure you have this flat edge out this way so that you can get in here and you can adjust it with a wrench, because there's no way of really getting in there easily to do it. So now what I'm gonna do is basically put a level on here and kind of adjust this a little bit to mimic where the car would be riding. You can see I'm a little bit off right here, so we need to come out, let's see, half inch-ish should get us a good start. It's not exact science. There probably is a torque spec for those two bolts and nuts, but I went ahead and used the German torque of Gudentite. Seems to work well. And there we go. We have a pretty good starting point. I'm going to put the wheel on, set the car farther down, and see how we did. As you adjust this side, the driver's side, I had to basically spin this counterclockwise, and what that does is because you have the left and right hand threads, it's spreading it evenly between the two mounts. And there it is. So I actually nailed it on the first time and had it completely straight up and down. I went back in and I just took it, I think I just did one revolution back and got it to the edge of my exact center, just kind of riding that line there. You can't even barely tell that it's ever so slightly like that. So there's the driver's side. Now I have upgraded wheels, 17-inch, and a little bit fatter tire, so it does stick out just a smidge. And then here's the passenger side, and you can see quite a bit of difference how that's leaning in like that. Overall, pretty happy with this. Now that I have that adjustment, if I need to go back in there and make some tweaks, I can, and it's pretty simple. I'm gonna get the passenger side pulled off and get that one done, and we'll see what else I can get done today on this thing. If you decide that you want to pull that little spacer pin thing out of the original and force it into the bushing that comes with the new parts, the way I figured it out is it has a split down the center. So I just used my pliers to crimp it together to get it as small as possible. I sprayed it with some lubricant, some you know, like mystery oil or even WD-40, something like that will work. I heated up my bearing and then just used my press, and it went in a whole lot easier. Now I started at the base here and had this pair of pliers squeezing the end and kind of just started slow, got that in, then I slowly moved my pliers up as I went, and here it is. This one was way easier than the first one because obviously I had to figure out how to do it the first time. But if you don't feel like going and buying another couple half-inch bolts, if you don't want to waste the time at the hardware store, you can do this if you have a torch, you know, the right pliers and a press. You could probably do it with a vise. I tried, it was kind of a pain in the ass, but definitely use a press if you have one. Voila, finished product. I definitely like that a whole lot more than the way it was. And if you want to be the coolest guy in your block, you could actually order a couple more of those bars and links and all that and do the other two non-adjustable links in the back. You could set it up to do wheelies if you want. But I like this setup. I'm gonna rock this for a little bit. And now it's time to keep working on the cosmetics. So mechanically, this car it's pretty good. It drives really nice. Even being lowered, it handles very well. It's comfortable. It's not a rough ride at all. I guess they used the right springs. They didn't cheap out, so thank goodness. You know, I've got these little dents and stuff to contend with, but I think the first thing I'm gonna do cosmetically on the outside is redo the lower section of the car in a darker color than the top half of the car, so we get that contrast. And then I'll see about maybe painting the top half. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful, and you know, if you want to get out and mess with yours and mess with that rear suspension and get it straightened up so it's not all wonky and destroying your tires, here's a cheap way to do it. Thanks so much for watching. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Hi-ya!